Good evening. Welcome to Mind Matters, where every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. we discuss relevant mental health issues. I'm so happy to be back after a hiatus for health reasons. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Wanzo. I've been a practicing psychiatrist in Atlanta for the past 27 years. Our co-host, Officer Paul DesVignes, has over 20 years experience in law enforcement. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome, Doc. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yes, it is.
Welcome to our WCEG family.
Yes. So our topic this evening is the emotional aspects of scamming. How to avoid being scammed. Again, the emotional aspects of scamming and how to avoid being scammed. We always welcome your participation. The number to call is 378-619-1402. 378-619-1402. The number again is 378-619-1402. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my God.
No, I thought that was...
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Excuse me. I've been calling the wrong number. So the correct number is 678-619-1402. Again, 678-619-1402. Again, 678-619-1402. I recently was almost the victim of a scam. Thanks to Officer Paul, I was saved. Here's what happened to me. I was at work in the clinic. I was very busy seeing patients. My phone was on the desk, and I looked, and the phone rang, and it said Georgia Power. I thought the only time I've gotten a call from Georgia Power was for some type of an alert.
That's on time alert.
Was an alert for a possible outage. So as I said, I'm looking at my phone. It says Georgia Power. And normally I would not have answered it, but it said Georgia Power. And I was thinking maybe there was some kind of alert. So I answered it. A male voice stated, "This is Georgia Power. We have 2 technicians on the way to your home to shut your power off." I panicked. I told him, "I don't want my power shut off. What can I do?" He said he would give me the number to call to avoid my power being shut off. So I called the number. A female answered. I don't remember what her name was, some common name. And the female said, "Well, they've already been dispatched to turn your power off." And I told her, "I never got a notice. How could you turn my power out with any kind of notice?" She said, "Well, ma'am, I'll make a note of that in your file, that your account, that you didn't get a notice." So I said, she said, if you don't want the power to be turned off, you need to make payment in the next hour, because the technicians are already on the way. And again, I'm feeling more panic. So I told her, okay, then I'll just call Bill Matrix to make the payment, because that's how I've made payments in the past. That's the billing system. It's a payment system for Georgia Power. She said, "Oh, no, that takes 2 days to post. So the technicians are already on the way to turn your power off. Payment needs to be made in the next hour." So I'm feeling really panicked by now. I said, "How much is the bill?" She gave me some amount that was like over $800. I'm like, "What?" She said, "Well, that's the total payments, but the minimum amount due was some amount that was close to $500. So, okay, well, I offered to pay by debit card. I'm so glad that I didn't give them that information. So I said, "Well, how do I pay then if I can't do debit, or if I can't, do the bill matrix?" She said I'd have to go to one of their locations. I said, "One of your locations? Where?" She gave me some address in Sandy Springs, not far from my home address. But I told her I'm not at home. I'm at work. And I gave her the address of the clinic in East Point where I work. She gave me 3 addresses in East Point. Now get this. One was for Rite Aid, one was a Family Dollar, and one was a Dollar General. I said, that's where I go to make the payment? She said, yes. I said, well, how would I make a payment there? She said, you buy something called a money pack card. And then once I bought the card to call her when I had purchased it, I jumped up from my desk, put my jacket on. I dashed toward the front door of the clinic. I was hyper. I was breathing heavily. Officer Paul was standing at the front of the clinic. So I told him what was going on and where I was headed to. I was like rushing like a bat out of hell because she said it had to be within the next hour. He looked at me and calmly said, it's a scam. I'm like, what? It never entered my mind. I mean, I was in shock when he told me it was a scam. When it finally sunk in, I was feeling angry. I was angry at them. I was angry at myself. I felt embarrassed that I could fall for something like that. The scammers had preyed upon my fear and anxiety. Thank you, Paul. You almost got me.
First of all, for my WCEG family, let me make it absolutely positively clear. Your internet, your utilities, nor would any of your government entities ever call you phone soliciting and threaten to arrest you or disconnect your services for non-payment. That's not how it's done on this level. Con artists take advantage of this. And mind you, most of these people calling you and they seem legit. And now, even with the internet, and we all know we can get phone numbers off the internet for anywhere in the world, and we can make these phone numbers say anything on call ID. You may get a call that says from Georgia Power. You may get a call that says from your local city government. You may get a call that says it's coming from the IRS. Once someone starts soliciting you for money, the first thing you should say to yourself, why are they asking me for money? And at the same time, the way they want me to pay it back is through a green card or some other means where I have to go to a CVS or a gas station or any kind of place that has nothing to do with, well, normally you would pay your bills. People have been losing hundreds of millions of dollars. And we all know financial fraud has turned into one of the most lucrative businesses, especially with online and World Wide Web, because half the time we cannot trace these individuals because once it's out there in cyberspace, they're literally anonymous. And believe it or not, a lot of these scammers may be from out of the country. So let's start looking at some things right now that's very important for you to know. Number one, please do not panic. And I know that may sound like a little impossible, but I want you to understand they're counting on your fears, your anxiety.
Yes.
And especially when they calling from the presence of being a law enforcement agency and telling you, well, if you don't do this, we're going to lock you up. Listen, don't be afraid to say, well, you know where I'm at. Come and lock me up. Challenge them. You know, regardless of what the name comes up on your call ID, challenge them. Say, hey, okay, give me a number where I can call you back. Give me a number or a website where I can reach you. Or better yet, if you start to feel like they're pressuring you and now they put you in a position. Now, we all know who bill collectors are. We all know they first send you the first notice, the second notice, the final notice. Yeah, we talk about the phone calls. Hey, this is so-and-so, especially those for student loans. We know how that works. You got to stop for a second and ask yourself, do I really owe this bill? And if when they give you the amount, if it's so beyond what you are normally used to paying or what you paid previously, question it. One of the things these scammers don't want is for you to challenge their legitimacy. If they know so much about you and start to tell you what they can do to you, then you start telling them what you can do to them. I don't want you calling me. I know my rights. You can't call me between the hours of X was and XY. Why are you calling? What is your name again? What is my account number? What's the last payment I made? How do I make my payments? If they can't answer any of these questions at that point in time, hang up on them. Then immediately call your utility company and say, hey, I don't appreciate getting a call from you. And the first thing they're going to say to you, we didn't call you. Because one of the things that most calls you get from legitimate business tell you, the minute you pick up that phone and start talking, you're on a recorded line. This conversation will be recorded for training purpose or otherwise.
Yes.
And let me tell you, when it says training purpose, there's no training. They're documenting anything that you can say that can help them collect the debt.
Oh.
So believe me, at the end of the day, bill collectors are. But I want to take this moment to tell you the top 10 financial scams, especially the ones that target seniors. So it's important for you to know. So if you need a second to get your pen and paper or whatever you need to go ahead and try to record this. And I know everybody is not as old fashioned as I am. I like to write things down, but it's important for you to understand first and foremost, do not panic when someone contacts you either over the phone, online, or whatever which way, and start threatening you with either you're going to get arrested, which is normally associated with an IRS scam, or some bogus traffic ticket you got in a jurisdiction that you may not even live in, but they claiming, well, if you pay it, we won't come lock you up. Trust me, for a traffic citation, there's a pretty good chance we're not going to waste the time to come lock you up. I mean, we'd rather catch you on a traffic stop if that's the case. So, and those of you out there, you know when you riding dirty. So why waste the time worrying about somebody calling you on the phone telling you what we're going to do? But the number one scam right now is the Medicare health fraud, healthcare, the insurance scam. Scammers especially target our elderly because they know as they're getting up there in age, they're a little more defensive. Their rationality starts to go as they age. Unfortunately, it's easy to scare them. And with these nonsense with the Affordable Care Act and Medicare enrollment, they're calling these citizens all over the age of 65, telling them they qualify for medical benefits. And if they send these payments in, we can get you started right now. These are our parents and grandparents and great grandparents who are being victimized by scammers. It's important, especially those of us who have family members who are well past the age of 70 and beyond, and they still are controlling their own finances. You have to make sure that you check their statements with them. And it's not an invasion of privacy. It's you're looking for any kind of bills or payments or anything that's unusual that makes sense, because most are on a fixed income. And those who are blessed with pensions and other means of financial security, you got to make sure that money is not being taken out of their accounts that there's no justified means for. Take a few minutes to pay attention what's going on into your elderly loved ones' lives, and that can stop and prevent a lot of criminal activity. The second is counterfeit prescription drugs. Again, targeting our elderly. We know most of our elderly family members are taking meds now. Regardless of the ailment they have, these meds are a lifeline for them. So imagine when someone calls them up telling them that we can get your drugs, you qualify for a cheaper rate. This is so-and-so pharmaceutical company, and all you do is send $100 and we can provide this amount of drugs.
Wow.
Unfortunately, our elderly, once again, will say to themselves, well, you know what? I can afford that. Or I really need these drugs, so I'm going to take what it's going to take to get them. Again, it's a scam. Once they start telling you put it on green cards, green dot, any
money
kind
pack,
of
cyber,
money pass. I mean, there's so many, and now we got the thing now, we got pay sites. That's even worse, because all you have to do put in a phone number, tap into, they tap into your direct account. Once that money gone, it's gone. Unless your financial institution, as we call a bank or credit union or other house, have some kind of fraud protection where they will return that money to you. A lot of times these scams, once your money is gone, it's gone, because you unfortunately are dealing with individuals out in cyberspace that has no way of legally tracking them down. The second thing is, again, funeral and cemetery scams. Number 3. Nobody young would think about that's the last thing on their mind. But imagine when they're elderly and they're making final arrangements and they don't want their loved one to be burdened with their debts. And especially when we start talking about burial plots, what cemetery you're going to get in. You know, some people take dying the same approach they take to a wedding. They have to be elaborate, have to have this kind of coffin. They want, you know, you can spend just as much on a funeral as you can on a wedding sometime. And think about it. What are you really benefiting from this? You know, I understand your loved ones want you, but a nice memorial service, do not allow these scammers to take advantage of you, thinking that you have to spend thousands of dollars on a casket and you have to be in a position where you have to make sure you get your burial plot and funeral home, because criminals will read obituaries and call or attend a funeral service to someone they don't know just to take advantage of those who are grieving. Then they will claim the deceased had an outstanding debt and then effort to get money from relatives to settle fake debts. Don't be surprised at the level of deceit criminals will go to get money out of you. And unfortunately, there are dishonest funeral homes out there too. They prey on grieving family by capitalizing on their unfamiliarity with the cost of funeral service. In other words, why pay $10,000 for a $2,000 casket? Why are the costs of just transporting the body? You know, if they're telling you what it was $2,000 to transport your body 2 miles from the cemetery, from the church to the cemetery, question it. You know, you can't ask for an estimate of the services for your loved ones prior to the services being performed.
Oh, yes, yes.
And make sure you ask them to itemize.
Yes.
Don't get a lump sum. Tell that funeral home, I want to break down every cost. And why does it cost this much? Challenging them. And do you know you can buy caskets direct yourself?
Oh, really?
Yes. There are manufacturing services where you can go.
Oh, really?
And cut out the middleman and order your own casket if you choose to be. And then another beautiful thing, don't forget this too. If you're a member of the church, a lot of times those services will be performed by your pastor, your church. So you can cut out all these extras that dishonest funeral homes are charging you. Just be aware, at the end of the day, everybody got to hustle. Fourth, fake anti-aging products. People, let's be honest. Let's be honest. 40 is not the new 30. 50 is not the new 40. It is what it is. Your birthday is the day you were born. We have a lot of products on the market that claim it's going to make you look younger, feel younger, be younger. And for older men, Viagra was a miracle drug. Until now, we see the side effects of it. But in order to really understand just how these criminal activities work and how these scams are, you have to pay attention to what you're watching, especially on TV at late night. When most senior citizens are watching TV, you know there's all the commercials about products that claim to be the perfect solution to signs of aging and how to turn back the hands of time. Be honest with you, there's nobody I know yet has escaped the hands of time. You can work out, and most of the things you can do to postpone your life or to look younger is simple. Eat right, exercise, drink plenty of water. I mean, these are common sense things. Scammers take advantage of those who are looking for a shortcut to try to be that youth, recapture that youth again. People, time is more valuable than money. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can always make a buck, but you cannot get time back. So when you monitor your loved one's finances, again, targeting an old one, look for purchases or types for remedies and treatments which you know why they doing this. Look at the amount they spending. Look at who they sending this money to, and start to really focus it. The situation with Dr. Wanzo. Now, this is the one that really blows my mind. Phone scams. This affects everybody. There's not a person in the United States of America who don't feel fear. You hear, you look down your call ID and it says the IRS. Nobody wants to be contacted by the Internal Revenue Service of the United States of America. That means usually we want our money. Scammers are well aware of this. The IRS is one of the few law enforcement agencies in this country, and I'm going to say few because for all of us, probable cause is what we need to affect the rest of crime that we say you committed. Understand that there's a due process. IRS is all about the money now. And what they're going to say to you, they're going to contact you by mail. They're going to contact you online. And when they do contact you in person, it's normally about a case that you've already initiated that now we're in the process of resolving.
So you saying they do contact you in person sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. Mind you,
Okay.
if you have a case that you're working on and they need follow-up information or you're trying to settle a debt, they will call you and say, hey, listen, this is the case file, but this is something
They'll
that's
call
already
you?
initiated.
So they will call you by phone then?
Yes.
Oh.
But understand again, this is a case that's already initiated. And if they need additional information to help resolve it or whatever, but they're not going to call you up there soliciting money.
So here's what the agent, someone called me, it was supposed to be the IRS, and they said I had owed some outstanding taxes.
Nah.
And if I didn't pay them, they were going to arrest me, and I hung up the phone, and I knew that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you what a legitimate IRS call. You've already working on, say you have an outstanding tax debt, and you legitimately working with the IRS to get this resolved. Say, for instance, you had documents, say, financial aid documents, or you had documents pertaining to child care that was not credited to your taxes for whatever reason. Or say, for instance, they want you to show proof of income or the fact that you wasn't.
But will they ever contact you by phone?
Yes, they will call you and say, hey, listen, understand this.
Okay.
Before you go into understand what I'm saying to you, they will call you for additional documentation for a case that's already pending.
Oh, okay.
They're not calling you for money.
Okay.
They're not calling you telling you you're going to be arrested if you don't send this money.
That's what they told
and they
me.
certainly not going to solicitate you putting it on the money dot, green card, PayPal, or something like this. This is where the only phone contact will simply be listed for documentation for cases that you already had pending.
Okay.
Or information that you requested.
Okay.
And you requested a call back.
Okay.
Hey, this is so and so calling you back. Like when I got my electronic, my EIN number for my business, and for all you don't know that, it's called like electronic identification number for those who run a business. It was standard call to IRS long before everything became an online service, and you can give them your information, blah 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 blah. And mine particular was like, okay, I can either hold for how long it take, or we can call you back once we process the information, tell you your IE number. And that was back in the day. Now you can just request it online. I've never had the IRS in all my years call me demanding payment, demanding that if I don't do this, it's going to be locked up. Because we all know what happens when you mess with the IRS. We've seen enough celebrities and politicians and, when they come in, they come in. But there's due process.
Okay.
It's not, I'm going to call you up on the phone and I'm demanding you pay this. And especially they're not going to tell you means of paying it. Green dot cards, money cards, PayPal. They are not making demands like this.
Okay.
And here's the interesting thing. Legitimately done. I just recently, I can pay my taxes through my PayPal because it's a credible source that the IRS accepts.
Really?
But understand how this works. PayPal is a legitimate source. Now and again, you got scammers out there on phones pretending they need PayPal. It doesn't cost you a cent to sign up for a PayPal account. Not a cent.
I didn't know you could pay the IRS though through PayPal.
And what PayPal would do, hey, they become a vendor. All they are is a middleman for. And so again, there are legitimate sources with legitimate businesses that you can conduct on phone or online. But you have to be smart enough to know when someone is now threatening or intimidating you or got you in a feeling stressed out, feeling like now your door about to kick in. It's important for you to start questioning them.
So how, like for me, when I looked and I saw Georgia Power, so how can your phone say Georgia Power?
Very easy now. Internet phone company, you can get you a Google number that you can use an area code for anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. Keep in mind, the internet is amazing. Unfortunately, criminals have learned how to take what we call the good source in the internet and turn it into a thing we call the dark web. We're still trying to understand how Bitcoins work. And to the extent, it started off as an underground currency, but I have yet to understand Bitcoin. And there's an attempt to make it a legitimate currency. But right now, I don't know or see if that's going to be possible. That's the reason number 6 I want people to be aware of. Internet fraud. I know I'm giving you a lot of information. I know it's probably redundant to live it.
Because billions of dollars are paid out by Americans every year for these kinds
Yeah,
of
but think
things.
of billions of dollars that are stolen online. Just keep in mind, Microsoft has put out a special consumer alert to warn consumers about bogus computer security engineers making cold calls, convincing people that a computer at risk for a security threat.
Yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, that's happened to me.
Again, Microsoft is not going to be calling you. You of all people, with hundreds of millions of people in the world, why would they call you telling you that we're going to do this? And let me say this. Never give your account number, social security number, or any routing numbers to any of your accounts to anybody that's not a legitimate source that you don't know. Also, do not give your remote access log on to your computer, because most people may not know in internet crime, criminals can actually get your IP address for your computer and take over your computer. That's very real. That's not something on Mission Impossible. That's not something that make believe. This is very real. Matter of fact, I had a problem a year ago with software logging on my laptop. I called Microsoft. I called, here's the situation, and the technician said, okay, give me the IP, all the information they needed. And then at that point, they were able to gain access to my computer and remotely do all they needed to do to rip my computer the virus. And I'm watching everything being done. I'm sitting there watching. I'm seeing the cursor moving. I'm seeing everything done. And it amazed me once they had that information. But this was a legitimate service I requested. They actually went in, completely wiped my computer, freed the virus, did everything, upgraded. And I'm sitting there watching. So if the legitimate technicians can do that, imagine what criminals can do.
But how do you know? Because sometimes they'll hijack a site and it'll look like a legitimate site, but it's actually, someone will hijack your site. So how do
keep in mind, when you exactly, it's hijacking your computer. And keep in mind, 8 out of 10 of those who allowed remote access to computers had money stolen. 8 out of 10 people who allowed access to their computers by illegitimate sites had money stolen. 1 in 5 became identity theft victims. Finally, more than half of all people who allowed remote access got hit with viruses that fouled up computers. Very often, the cost of repair was greater than the money that was stolen. How do we prevent that? Stupid. Easy. Microsoft offers a few recommendations to stay out of harm's way. And this is what Microsoft telling you to do. First, be suspicious of all solicited calls from supposed computer security experts. In other words, if you didn't call a service requesting assistance, don't accept or allow a service who called you out the blue to do anything with your computer. Don't give them remote access. Don't give them access to your personal information. Matter of fact, hang up. And that's what people keep making mistake. Just simply disconnect the call. Second, don't visit any sites or install software recommended by unsolicited callers. In other words, if they tell you to go to this website or log on to this, if it's not information you requested or doesn't seem legit, because the minute you log on to it, they just gave them access to your computer.
Speaking of logging on, this is a frequent one that I'll get. It'll be from like the Apple email, and it says that so-and-so is that you've charged like what $700 something to your Apple account, and just log in or something.
Never.
I don't.
And that's it. Delete it. When you get unsolicited, if you know you didn't order something and you know this is not you, why even waste the time logging in to see? Because they preying on your curiosity.
Exactly.
First thing what's going on here? Delete. And it's funny you should say that, because the seventh biggest problem we have is Apple email scam is stealing people information.
I get those all the time. I mean, at least once a week I get one of those from Apple. At least once a week.
But the sad part about it, you got people who don't even own Apple products opening up.
Because I have an Apple computer. That's why.
And
yeah, I know.
If you are on an HP system, then why are you opening up the Apple demand for payment or services? Common sense should tell you right then and there, this can't possibly be mine. And if it's not, delete it. Because if it's real, then you should be the one initiating the call.
So I get those a lot.
The seventh most common scam out there Investment timeshares. We have all take trips that the price was so low, the places that we normally would be spending 5 times more. We got chance to go to high dollar resorts for little to nothing at all, but it comes with that hour and a half to 2 hour timeshare presentation.
Hilton. You know about that?
Now, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I love them to death. Personally, I enjoy doing them because the only response I got when they ask me, am I ready to purchase, is no. I start with the initial salesperson, and it goes all the way up to the sales manager and everybody in between who come to talk to you. Hey, this is a great deal. This is a fantastic opportunity. You know,
it's only available today only.
Yeah. Keep in mind, they're preying on people who are weak-minded, who can't say no. They're preying on people who you put a high-pressure sales pitch on them, they don't know how to back down. They're preying on people who don't have that ability to protect themselves. Again, the elderly. You talk them in signing for a timeshare where they're paying $500 a month. They're on a fixed income. All the fee goes up. What's the chance of these people coming back and enjoying these timeshare? They tell you got 1 week out of the year when it's all yours. Yes. But it's funny, every time you call to try to log in, that week is already done. And then you have blackout dates. Why would I have a blackout date on something I own? But most people, we don't take the time to use common sense and ask ourselves these questions. Like I said, I have been to many timeshare presentations. I have enjoyed the amenity of reduced ticket to sporting events or vacations at exotic locations. I've done it. I enjoy it.
So I went to one like Hilton. It was like a week in New York for like, was it $100 or one something? You have a weekend in New York at a Hilton. Boy, I mean, it's not, they had they had 2 guys, one on each side of me, like tag teaming, trying to pressure. I mean, it was high pressure. To me, it wasn't worth the stay. I said, next time I go to New York, I'll just pay my own. To me, it wasn't worth that high pressure, stressful, presentation that they do.
And the sad part about it is the same thing that we all know, we've been taught our own lives, holds true today. If it sounds too good to be true, trust me, it is. It ain't sometime, it ain't maybe, it ain't every now and then, it's all the time.
And that's what a lot of scammers will do, because in terms of they promise you'll get all of this for a smaller amount. So if it's too good to be true, right? I agree that.
But that's where you got to know how to work this hustle. First of all, I love the one where you use your card and you come and go, and we give you 100% of your money down that you put in. The card basically is deposit. Make sure you come and enjoy yourself. But then you got to make sure whatever resort or suite or hotel they set you up in, the first thing you want to ask, well, what are the per night fees? Because a lot of people don't realize a lot of these fees in these these presentations for timeshare could be anywhere from $25, $30 to $50 a night or more. You paying the same amount if you would have just went into a hotel that you booked on your own. So the first thing you need to ask, do I have to pay any kind of fees? Well, there's just the hotel fees. Everybody pay it. The state requires all tourists and so forth. Then you ask, well, why am I paying it? If I'm staying at one of your resorts, then what fees why am I paying any fees? Oh, well, that's just a standard fee everybody pays. Well, I don't want to pay it. When you start saying stuff to them like that, they're not prepared to rebuttal that. And if you stick with it, I'm not paying this. I would do that, but I'm not. And this is where negotiation come in. Because if they really want you to get in for this timeshare presentation, then they'll start dropping a lot of their own requirements to the point where it's like, okay, well, you know what? We're going to work with you on this because we really want you to come and enjoy this. That's what they say.
So they'll start off with one amount. With me, I think it was like the 19,000 deal, then it was the 13,000, and it was 11. They kept dropping it down to different deals.
Absolutely.
They really tried to wear you down.
And mind you, for most people who have never got into a timeshare, the fees go up every year. You got HOA fees, you got maintenance. They're going to hit you with so many fees. You be like, you'll be 5 years in and realize I've never really had a chance to get to this timeshare, but I've been paying almost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a year for something I don't have access to. And they tell you, well, it's a mortgage, you can write it off on your taxes. Yeah, better check with Uncle Sam, because depending on the cent that it is and the state that it is and so forth, Uncle Sam will say no. That's considered vacation property. That may be XY. It's not eligible for a write-off. Okay, moving right along. Number 8 of common scams, homeowner reverse mortgage scams.
Oh, yes.
Again, targeting the elderly.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the elderly are easy to con, but imagine homeowners who are stressed, underwater, or behind on their payment. So all of a sudden, you get a call telling you, we can get you out from under. We understand you're going through some hardship. We're going to work with you. All you need to do is send $2,000 to us, and we'll process it, and we get your payments down to under $200. First of all, no outside entity is going to be able to do that without your bank approving it. And why would you pay an outside entity to do the same thing that you can do to your bank for free? It's called negotiation. If your mortgage holder, whether it's Chase, Bank of America, your credit union, or whatever, you have the ability to go talk to them and say, hey, right now I'm in a financial bind in my life. I don't want to lose my property. Since you are my mortgage holder, what can we do? Either reduce the term, reduce the payment, put it on the back end. There are options. You don't have to lose your house, nor do you have to be in a situation.
So with the reverse mortgage, they actually take the title of the house over?
Well, and here's the sad. Reverse mortgages usually have con men who usually have some level of handyman skills and will start the whole process of reverse mortgages. I still don't understand how it works. Basically, they're telling you sign the house over to, the company, and some may be legit, but you got to understand, if they're coming to you telling you, well, I'm going to help you in your situation, then the first thing you need to sit there and say, what's so special about me that you want to help me? Why me? And they make it sound like they're giving you a magical project and they're going to get you out of debt and you're going to be in such a good shape that your life is going to be great from this point on. Don't believe it. Do not make the mistake of believing some nonsense like that. What they're actually doing, think of all the years of equity you put in your house. Think of, times may be tough right now. You're on a fixed income. You're barely making a payment. But especially for my seniors and those of us who are caretakers, have power of attorney for the mothers or grandparents or fathers or great-great-grand. When you have the power of attorney for someone and you're making decisions for them because they can't make it themselves, you should be especially vigilant to make sure that these crooks and hustlers don't get access to them. Because prior to you getting power of attorney, they can enter into these contracts legally. They still of age and sound mind. And if let's like after a storm, when you have contractors coming through your neighborhood claiming that they can fix your roof or do these repairs for half the cost of anybody else. Well, if you were that good, then you should have contracts all over the place. They're preying on a lot of people because their homes were destroyed or they want it fixed back real quick or the insurance company's not moving faster. And then you got the dummies who they get a nice check. And they're like, wow, man, I can spend half the money to get all the work done and I can keep the other half. Well, there goes that new Mercedes. It doesn't work that way. Again, if it sounds too good to be true, it's not.
Right, a lot of people have been ripped off by home contracting schemes.
Reverse mortgages, to me, in the next 5 to 10 years, if not sooner, you're going to see a lot of legislation, lawsuits for reverse mortgage companies that's stolen the property of your long ones and seniors. You're going to see a lot of companies with reverse mortgages, and they hire these celebrity endorsers.
On TV, there's some guy, I forgot which is the actor.
Well, there's quite a few of them.
Okay.
And it's always late at night or early in the morning. And why they time these calls to be like that? Because late at night, most senior citizens, unlike my grandfather, used to be in bed by 7, 8 o'clock, and he waking up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. They got you targeted. For those who go to bed early, go to bed late, they get up early. And what do? They watch TV. Everybody else is asleep, or if they're home by themselves, those are the prime hours. And they watching this, and it's like subliminal marketing. Keep that term in mind, people. Subliminal marketing. And our loved ones, older seniors, are looking at this, and it makes sense to them. I got equity in my house. I don't want anybody to work. I do a reverse mortgage. I don't have to pay another bill, and I can live here for the rest of my life until I pass on, and I'm good. Not really. All you did was just sign over your house, and they're counting because the sooner you die, the happier they are. The sooner you die, the happier they are. They're not praying for good health for you. Be careful. Number 9 is for those who are gullible. And I'm not saying the Georgia lottery is rigged, but I'm telling you, sweepstakes and lottery scams are everywhere. How many of y'all thought y'all won a publisher clearinghouse? Or you just know Ed McMahon is going to come knock on your door and tell you got a nice fat check waiting on you.
Do you have to pay anything to those kinds of things?
Well, again, why I like to start with senior citizens. They're the most compromised rationality. They're up there in age. They watch a lot of TV. You know, they put a lot of celebrity endorsers who are their age that they remember back in the days. Like, hey, I remember when they was young and I was young. Now they're old like me, and they're telling me this is a good deal.
Right. Yeah.
Well, seniors get a call saying they won a lottery.
The psychology of scamming.
Or sweepstakes of some kind. But they need to pay money. If I win a prize, if I win a lottery, why am I paying money to process to get my money? That makes no sense. The Georgia lottery and most state lotteries, if you win, you take your ticket. As long as that ticket validates your win, they pay you money. You going to pay taxes, but the IRS is telling you ahead of time. They got a whole process. There's nothing coming out your pocket. You don't have to pay to prove anything. You don't have to pay to process anything. And unfortunately, the minute that someone start telling you you won something, but you have to pay a fee to claim it, that should be a red flag. You know, I love Mother Africans to death. Mother Africa, for every black person in America, we have some connection to Mother Africa. But I get leery when I hear a Nigerian accent on the phone.
Nigerian, Ghana, I get those too. You know,
I don't want to hear I won $20 billion in Lagos, Nigeria, but I need $10,000 to claim it. That's proof that I am the son of the late King Babutu. There's a lot of people who fall for that, believe it or not.
Yes.
A lot of people who honestly believe it have to be legit because this is from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And then you ask this person after the fact, have you ever done business with the Central Bank of Nigeria before? Have you even been to Nigeria before? Better yet, do you even know anybody Nigerian? You know, unfortunately, these scams are all too real. As we sit here laughing about it, you got to remember, with lottery scams, the senior savings are not eroded all at once. They take money out little by little. Once they take the bait and someone send money in, they put it on the sucker list. That makes them, every time there's a future call or solicitation, they're always coming after you. And there's always send a little bit more money, send a little bit more money. They keep promising you almost there. We got to take care of this one. We got to pay this fee. We got to pay that fee. You're paying a lot of fees to get money that you want. How many people ever say, well, you know what? If I won $10 million, just take it out my 10 mil and send me the balance. Does that make sense? Yes, yeah. If you want $1,000 to process a $10 million lottery I won, tell you what, send me $9,999 and you can keep 1,000 of it. Make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay, I mean, most people are gullible. They're always looking for something for nothing. I remember growing up in the city back in the day. It used to be funny to hear about people coming to New York for the first time, getting off the subway in Grand Central Station or down there on 42nd Street.
Oh, the pitch and drop. They used to call it the pitch and drop scam.
I know the pitch and drop, a 3-card Monty. Been there, done that. Yeah. But the sad part about it, they play on people gullible. Hey, listen, I just found $1,000. They show you an envelope full of money.
Exactly.
Listen. I don't know who it belonged to. I would take it to the police, but I'm rushing off for work. But tell you what, if nobody don't come to claim the money, I just split it half with you.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, to make sure everybody's legit, You put your money in, I put some of my money in, and you hold this $10,000. How much you got on you? Nah, I only got like about $100. Oh, that's enough. I trust you. And here I'm going to put my $100 in, and here you take the envelope that hold $1,000. If nobody don't claim it, here's my number. You call me, or we'll meet up at some range place, and you give me my share of the money. You thinking to yourself, man, I'm never planning on seeing this fool again. The minute they out of sight, you make mistakes walking off thinking you're $1,000 richer. At some point, curiosity gonna get you. You want to count your money because you can't believe you made $1,000 that easy. Then you realize, man, you got $100 worth of newspaper. It happens all day, every day. We're laughing about it, but these scams are nothing new. They have been going on since the beginning of time, and they're still going strong. Why? Because people are gullible. We're always looking for more than we have, thinking we getting over.
Exactly.
Con artists
trying to get something for nothing.
Live off for gullible people.
Exactly. And
whether you buying a used car, buying goods or service, home, help, fake contractors. It's sad in this world that crime does pay.
Yes.
And anybody who sit there and say no, it doesn't, then why are we spending $10 billion plus a year in internet fraud? Why is it embezzlement by white collar criminals and major companies? And these are CEOs, the executive staff still embezzling money from companies you're already making an above average income. Why are we constantly worrying about getting robbed on the street by a knucklehead with a gun, but we allow our utility companies and other entities to tack on fees, especially our banks? Every time we look, Bank of America, Chase, and Wells Fargo's in the news for stealing from its consumer base. Unnecessary fees. As minorities, we have to worry about even getting mortgages, and even in more upscale neighborhood. It used to be if you live in the hood, and actually why the poorest people pay the most for basic goods and services.
Hood tax, yeah.
How are you paying more for gas if you live in an inner city neighborhood? That makes no sense.
Gas, food.
People in a poor area because they poor. Insurance company, you charge you 3 times more to live in the area because they say you at high risk.
Exactly.
But you never had a claim.
Exactly.
Your car's never been broken into. Your house is never. Why am I paying more because of the area I live in? Because the first thing they ask you, what's your zip code?
Exactly.
And the new thing they do with the last couple of years, what's your credit score? What's my credit score got to do with buying insurance? Oh, well, that's one of the risk factors we use to evaluate you. Well, if that's the case, then half the people in America after 2000 mishap financial, we got a problem here. We got criminals robbing us, and we got legitimate businesses robbing us. How many of us paying SS fees to our banks because they say you have overdraft fees, and you have to go prove for them? No, you don't. You have to prove to them that the fees that they tack on your account, this is wrong. I didn't order this. I didn't do that.
And some banks, I think Wells Fargo was one that was charged where they'll personally, they take the checks instead of how they were processed. They'll put the highest check that was written and then the next one to try to generate a overdraft.
I have numerous mortgages, and I tell you, for me personally, as soon as my mortgage is done or I get a better option, I'm leaving Trust Bank altogether. You know, Chase Bank to me, and this is me speaking from my experience, is one of the most predatory institutions I've ever dealt with. Okay. And unfortunately, there's nothing that I see, especially as an African American, I would trust them ever again with financial institution because it's constantly it's not even a nickel and dime you to death. We're constantly feeding you to death. And unfortunately, when they prey on the black community because they get black athletes and sponsors and rappers and entertainers, people don't understand when you see these celebrities you identify endorsing products by these companies, they are paid endorsers. They're technically employees of these companies. They don't necessarily do business with these companies outside of you paying me to endorse your product. And we're targeting this targeted market that look like you. Again, subliminal marketing. It's a hustle. We find ourselves every day having to fight hard to keep part of that dollar that we work so hard to get. There's not a big difference between a crook on the street robbing you at gunpoint or by deception versus a legitimate company robbing you by deceit. Look how many people lost their homes in 2000, the real estate collapse market, where these banks that I just named were foreclosing on people's homes illegally, were running up people credits to the point where people had no choice but to be pressured into these interest-only loans. Or even the thing when NACA came along, it was like a joke, because the bailout to all these banks and financial institutions, all it did was ensure that their profit margin grew over the years. It didn't help the American people on any level whatsoever. And between Chase Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and all these other predatory institutions, countrywide and so forth, they stolen the American dream. So don't think these scams end with criminals.
Exactly.
White collar crime is alive and well. Corporations stealing from the community is alive and well. We don't have enough Ralph Naders out there to fight for the American consumer anymore, because at this point in time, it's all about the dollar bill. Don't think for a second your cable company loves you. They call you up. I got a great deal that's going to save you money. No, they got a great deal that's going to make you money, make them money. No one's interested in saving you money. Your insurance companies are not entities that were designed to save you money or to help you in life. Insurance companies were designed to make money.
Exactly.
That's the reason you
make
have
money, not play out claims when you make them.
And they will find every reason not to pay a claim. But in the state of Georgia, like most states in the United States of America, especially if you want to drive a car, you have to have no fault insurance. If you own the car, you may be lucky to get away with liability, but if you got a bank loan on it, you have to have full coverage. And for whatever reason, you live in the wrong zip code, or your credit limit ain't on the level they want, then that, let's put it this way, now your insurance payment on a car could be more than the car note.
Yes.
Don't buy a car thinking that you can afford to pay this note on a car without factoring in insurance, maintenance, gas. Because by the time you do that, that $500 car note could easily be $800-900. You know, I know people sell their car for gas money.
What?
I'm just saying. But money has never been anybody's friend. We make the mistake of thinking that I put my money in the bank, I'm working hard, I'm doing pretty good. Let me explain something to you. Your money in the bank is being taxed as well. Why are you being taxed for money that you're saving? There's 1,000,001 ways to get $1 out your pocket, and all of them still work. The last of the most common scams that I want to bring out again, I find it's hard to believe that this one still works, but unfortunately, as our elderly generation is getting, and incidentally, let me just say, elderly people is the largest generation we have right now. We have the youth, we have the elderly. Those of us in the middle, we're just working hard to try to survive. But our elder population is growing because more people are living longer. Crooks call senior citizens and impersonate their adult children in order to hit them up for money. Here's how a typical scam works. The phone rings, your grandmother, grandfather, great-grand, elderly relative answers the phone. The scam in a low phone. Grandma, grandpa. And you're like, is that you, Jimmy? Yep, this is Jimmy. It's me, and I'm in trouble. I'm in jail. I need you to wire me some money so I can get out. What's the grandparent first thing want to do?
I want to save Jimmy.
Want to take care of their grandkids. A parent want to help their child, especially if they know they got one that's always in something anyway. You know, according to the Justice Department, this typical scam takes anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a call. $3,000 to $4,000 a call. Think about it. Elderly people, fixed income, those who were blessed to have pensions and so forth for nest egg. You know, they wire this money like you were going to do through a green dot or something with the extent thinking that they getting. Never once do they stop to say, I need to call Jimmy. You know, if the scammer gets money, they have another person call you again, impersonate police officers, and ask for additional funds in order for their grandchild to be released.
Wow.
First of all, I can tell you this from a law enforcement point of view because I put a lot of people in jail. You would never have the jurisdiction that your loved one, aunt, boyfriend, husband, whoever that person is to you, even a coworker you come in, that jurisdiction, correctional facility would never call you for money to release that individual. Okay. First of all, depending on the charges, it's a judge decision whether you're going to be released at all. There's a thing called a bond hearing. Judge set the bond. Some crimes that were misdemeanors or city ordinances, there's already a bond amount attached to it. So it's automatic. It's $200 to get out because you loitering, prowling, then you pay that $200. And a bond is simply a bailment assuring that you're going to show up for court. When you don't out on bond, especially when a bonding company with your family or whoever paid 10% down to get you out, that bonding company take the responsibility of saying, you're going to show up for court. We have a bond for this individual and you're going to be good. Well, if you don't show up for court, you're in trouble because at that point, you're going to be in a position where that bonding company is on the hook now and they can possibly lose money if you don't show up. It's imperative that you understand government agencies will not be calling you, intimidating you, threatening you, harassing you, telling you that you're going to have to pay money to get put in jail. Those are the 10 most common financial fraud scams that I know targeting not just the elderly, but population as a whole, especially those who are gullible, who have been victims in the past. And I know that's a lot of information in a short time to get, but it's important that you start to question when somebody calls you up telling you, if you don't do this, we're going to do that to you.
Wow, this has been excellent, Paul. That's been an excellent presentation of the different types of scams. I hope everyone out there is paying attention because there are people out there to separate you from your money.
And keep in mind, none of these scams are new. I'm going to keep reiterating that. I'm sick of hearing people saying, "Oh, that's a sign of the times," or this, or this is a. First of all, people, there's nothing new under the sun. Right. Name change, but the game remained the same. I'm going to give it to you as raw as I can. P.T. Barnum was credited saying, "There's a sucker born every day." Okay. And unfortunately, all of us at some point in time, on some levels for something, have been played.
Well, I thank you for saving me because I was ready to rush out that door like a bat out of hell.
And just to touch on a personal note, that situation with Dr. Wanzo, I was lucky to be in the right spot at the right time. We worked together 3 days out of a week. And I just happened to intercept her because she was so frantic to the point of tears. And I'm like, hold it, stop. It was her demeanor that made me instantly respond to her because I knew at this point in time, I've been with her long enough to know when something's not right in her world. When I saw the fear in her face and the tears in her eyes, what is going on? My power is going to get shut off if I don't send this money. Oh my God, I got to get to the CVS. Who the hell goes to CVS to pay a gas bill or electric bill?
Right, Family Dollar and Dollar General.
Now, I remember once upon a time, even Walmart now still pays. You can go bill pay, but those are legitimate services. You wait in line.
Okay, so we have to take a break. You've been listening to Mind Matters on the WCEG network. We'll take a short break and return.